us now for 5 insightful minutes is Alex Hase. Alex is the General Manager and Chief Revenue Officer for the Americas at Mirakl. And he is joining us today to discuss the differences between a dropship business and a digital marketplace. Alex, let's level set with our listeners to start off today. What are the actual differences between a dropship platform and a marketplace platform in reality?
They're really two different constructs solving a similar challenge, which is the notion of unknown inventory. And so dropship's actually been around for quite a while. It's focused on the core assortment, typically. The retailer is the one who's responsible for all of the merchandising. They set the price. They're essentially doing all of the work associated with products, even that are part of a dropship program. And it's really geared towards solving supply chain constraints. So making sure you're not out of stock of products, and that the customer, when they order something, they're actually are able to get what they set out to buy. Marketplace, on the other hand, much more agile, much more geared towards scale and expanding beyond your core assortment. So many marketplaces are both core assortment, but also expanding beyond that. And part of the reason for that is that you're able to actually push a huge amount of that work out to the seller community. So that means that they're doing the merchandising and uploading the photos and making sure that the product descriptions are accurate. There are things like costs around shipping that they actually absorb, which you don't then have to deal with, and then customer support. So whenever there's an issue with an order, they're the ones that typically will address it. And so when you get to a certain level of scale, you don't want to balloon out a merchandising organization, but you're able to leverage this third-party seller community.
Alex, why is it so important that the seller sets the price? Why is there that distinction?
The primary reason that is of significance is competitive pricing, in particular in today's economic times, is obviously a big driver of how consumers buy. So by allowing the sellers to set the price, it creates this level of competitiveness among those sellers that might both be selling or multiple that are selling on your site. By driving that price down, you not only improve an SEO, but it tends to drive a much higher conversion rate. And one of the things that's really important to understand is that there's a very high attachment rate of marketplace products to 1P products. You end up with these mixed baskets that are solving a whole bunch of needs. And at the end of the day, the consumer is much happier, and customer lifetime value is everything.
All right, Alex, like you mentioned, dropship platforms are not new. They've been around for quite a while. In fact, I cut my teeth building one at Target back in 2013. And we know many retailers are also developing their own marketplaces. We recently interviewed Macy's Josh Janos about theirs, for example. So my question to you is this: why should a retailer with a robust dropship platform even consider a marketplace option? Why should they look at doing both? What's the rationale there?
If you think about the notion of dropship programs being focused on the core and a desire to try to expand beyond that. So again, you see what consumers want to buy from you, and if you're not delivering that, they're going to go someplace else to buy, frankly, not only what they came to look for, but all the other products and things that they're looking for. So long story short is that when you go to try to expand your assortment, you get to a certain threshold of where it's just not manageable with your own team. You don't want to continue to balloon out a merchandising organization that's trying to support all this expansion. So you start to be able to leverage a seller community that actually, as I said, does a lot of that work. But the way that we view things is they all coexist, and it's a continuum of 1P products, dropship, and marketplace. And we actually see a lot of retailers that actually, as part of their strategy, they will push products from 1P and dropship out to marketplace because it's either more profitable or it's just part of the assortment that they don't want to manage themselves directly. So our view of the world, it's all coming together where the expectation is going to be to manage sellers and vendors on one platform, but to leverage 1P dropship and marketplace.
Yeah, you could take the Pepsi challenge between the two options and carry the skew based on which option gives you the best profitability. That's really interesting.
Well, Alex, on that thread, what would you say to retailers who are worried that expanding a third-party assortment via dropship or marketplace models or both could kill the performance of their first-party inventory? How do you handle that question?
Yeah, it's a very common misunderstanding. I mean, we have that conversation probably 10 times a week.
Yeah.
It's also, there's another similar misunderstanding around marketplaces, is that it's the wild, wild west, and it's
Mhm.
these uncontrolled sellers that are on your retail site. And, that's obviously what retailers don't want as part of their brand and value proposition. The reality of it is our platform helps curate and manage, ensure all the quality is there, just like you'd be selling your own 1P products. But as it relates to this notion of killing 1P, it's actually the opposite with that high attachment rate. And again, it's very common for us that we've seen the attachment rate of marketplace purchases to 1P products. It's north of 70% very typically, and upwards of 100% in many cases. So it actually complements and helps drive 1P sales much more so than the risk of potential cannibalization.
Thanks, Alex. Wonderful insight.